What's up, Facebook Live? Jarek Robbins here. We are focused on a series that I asked 10 of my clients, what did it take to get to $1 million in revenue? Some of them I said, what did it take to get to $1 million in profit? And a few of them, we went far beyond that, all the way up to probably a few $100 million a year in revenue. And so in today's session, this part that we're talking about here, we're focused on a client who was not only able to get to $1 million in revenue and $1 million in profit, but they were also able to get all the way up to $25 million plus, much more than that, but $25 million plus in profit as well. And so when I asked this person, and let me just show you the text. I'm going to throw it up on the screen real quick. I asked this person, scroll down just a bit, to get to $1 million plus in profit, what would you say was the one thing that made the biggest difference in your journey to get there? And this person wrote back, ambition. Now, I also asked this person, what about from 1 million to 25 million? And they shared that as well. I'm going to share that a little bit later. But when we talk about ambition, what does that mean? I've found that a lot of people don't quite understand the concept of ambition or motivation. A lot of my 16 years in one-on-one coaching, I've noticed a trend where people think you hire a coach to motivate you, to inspire you, to pump you up, and that doesn't really last. What a coach really should be doing is holding you accountable to a certain set of rituals that maintain forward progress. And let me show you what I mean. If I were to throw this up real quick, let me grab this on the little screen and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, it's not on the screen. Can you all see my iPad? Is that up there yet? Can you let me know in the comment section? Do you see that? I don't know. How about now? Oh, there we go. That should be up. You should see an iPad up on the screen here. Let me draw this for you. So if we think about motivation, this concept, there's time, and then there's motivation. When you first start thinking about something, where do you think the motivation goes? So when you get, Lorelai, thank you for that. When you get excited about something, when you go, oh my gosh, it's the new year. I sat down, and in this whole new year, I'm so excited. I have a vision for what 2021 is going to be like. I see my vision. How excited do you get about that vision? What would you say? More excited, less excited? 0 to 10. How excited do you get about your vision on the day or night you create it? Now, the reason I'm talking about this on December 30th is because a lot of people are about to set some New Year's resolutions. They're going to set up some new goals, and we're going to get really hyped. Like, we're going to get pumped. We're going to get fired up. And my goodness, we're going to be so dang excited going into the new year with a bang. We're going to be all fired up. And what this looks like is right now, here's now, our motivation is about to go, if this is threshold, meaning we have to cross this line in order to act, in order to do something, our motivation when we start setting this goals is going to go. Now, for some of us, we're not going to cross the line, meaning we're going to write all this stuff down. We're going to have this amazing goal-setting sheet with all these incredible goals, and we're literally not going to do a single thing about it. We're just going to write it and say, writing it is good enough. At least I have the plan. Then as soon as the new year happens, we're going to do this thing where we get super busy trying to catch up on all the stuff we were ignoring for the last few weeks. And then we never get to actually check this box and do this plan. It leaves unchecked all year because we don't cross the line right here. But for other people, the motivation is going to keep going. And right now, your motivation is going to go all the way up here, on a 0 to 10 range. You're going to hit a level 75 plus of motivation. And my goodness, you're going to go do stuff. And if this is you, you're going to do this and that and this and that and this and this and this and that and this and this and this. And my goodness, you're just firing on all cylinders. How many of you have done this before? You're glowing like the sun. You're totally pumped up. You're doing a million things in a million directions. You're all fired up. And then over time, this thing called burnout starts to happen because you're exhausted. And as burnout happens, your motivation over the rest of the year kind of goes like this until at one point you stop taking action. And then, anyone ever been there? You were super fired up right here, and then time went over, you kind of got burnt out, and all of a sudden you landed up back here below the threshold of action. Therefore, you stopped doing all the things you said you were going to keep doing. And then something happens, it drops, you get fired up, someone hypes you up, someone gets you excited, and you go, oh my gosh, you get back up here for a while, and then, slowly, even though you're all the way back up here, time takes over and slowly brings you back down. Does that happen? Lorelei says happened the last 2 months, burnout. Isn't that an interesting pattern? Now, this pattern happens over and over and over again for so many people. What all the research shows is this is not the best way to do it. And let me show you, let me propose another way to do it. Because when we go back to this guy, when I asked this person, what was the number one thing it took to get you to $1 million in profit? They said ambition. Now, what ambition is, it looks kind of like this fired up line right here. What it's not is this whole thing. Because people think if I'm motivated enough, if I'm ambitious enough, my lines will just constantly look like this and I'll never have a down. That's not true. That having a down is totally normal and natural. There's a different equation we use on how to actually use your ambition to drive your business to $1 million or more. Let me copy this page real quick and I'll show you. So if I were to duplicate this, there we go. Let me clear some of this off. There we go. And so if we were to look at this, let me draw it a little differently. Motivation, if this is now, if this is now, this is time, and this is your motivation. Over time, the motivation is going to fade, period. Just how it happens. People get super motivated, then they get unmotivated. Then they get super motivated, then it goes down. That's just over time, natural. The key is, how do we get you to maintain forward progress right here? When you're not motivated, when you don't feel like it, when you're just saying, nah, I don't want to do it today. Here's the real question. A great coach has the ability to keep someone making forward progress, FP, forward progress, during a time when they do not feel motivated at all. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story. This is a really important story when it comes to motivation and follow-through, because there's a different formula. This is the motivation hype formula. We hype you up, you go do some stuff, it drops. We hype you up, you go do some stuff, it drops. Vladimir, nice to see you. Wendy, nice to see you too. It hypes you up, you get, drops, and your whole life is just this up and down pattern. Instead, I would propose something else. If we were to look at this same situation and say, okay, wait a second. Is there a way that we can get your progress to always be going up? meaning you're always making progress, how could we do that? How could we create progress that's always going up? Well, what we're going to do is take your motivation line, and your motivation line is going to match your progress line. And we go, ooh, this is interesting. Because now what's happening is there's times when you're not motivated down here, and there's times when you're totally motivated up here. The key is we kept you moving forward regardless of if you're being motivated or not. How do we do that? Well, we do that because there's time. There's time, but instead of motivation, we create standards. I call these winning patterns. Winning patterns. They're things we commit to do every single day, regardless if we feel like it or not. It's a commitment. It's a standard. It's a ritual. It's a habit. I call them winning patterns. So we trade out motivation, we scrap the motivation, and we swap it out for winning patterns. Now, there's a story of two people who were going to go on a race, and they were starting off on the West Coast, and they were trying to go across the entire United States to the East Coast. It was during a crazy period of history, really intense, really, really interesting path they had to cross to get across the country. One person decided every single day, no matter what, their plan was to go 25 miles. That's it. Every day, no matter what. Now, the key is they also discovered they would make a commitment that says, I'll never go more than 20 miles. 20 miles is the max, the maximum I'll go. 20 miles is the minimum I'll go. No matter what. 20 miles is the maximum, or 25 miles is the minimum and maximum I'll go no matter what. That's a commitment. The other person, put them in green, they were down here. They're about to make the same journey from the West Coast to the East Coast. They said, you know what? If the person number one is only going 25 miles a day, I know how I'm going to beat them. I'm just going to go into a dead sprint on day one, and I'm going to do like 50 miles. And I'll be so far ahead of them that they won't be able to catch up. That's how I'm going to beat them. Then on day two, they woke up and they were completely exhausted. So on day two, they didn't do anything. On day three, they got a little charged up and went like 10 miles. On day four, their foot, it rained. So on day four, they didn't do anything because it was raining. On day five, they really went for it. They went another, let's say 35 miles. On day six, they were exhausted again, so they did nothing. And they just have these sporadic, some days they do something, some days they don't, this sporadic journey. Now I'm going to pause right here. Who do you think made it across first? Let's just take a poll in the comment section. Do you think person number one or person number two? Who do you think made it across first? Who got to the finish line first? Who do you think it is? I'm always curious what people guess on. I know what I guessed on this. I was incorrect. But I know what I guessed. Who do you think made it across first? Now here's my second question. How do you try to do it every day? If you're trying to build your business and get it to $1 million or get it to $1 million in revenue or $1 million in profit, I don't know what you're aiming for, but if you're trying to get there, are you option number one, meaning you have a certain target you lock in that's your minimum and maximum of what you will do every single working day of the year, and you hit it no matter what? Or are you option number two? Some days you have a huge day, you totally crushed it. Then you take a couple days off. Then you come back and just do okay. You take a day off. Then you crush it again. Then you have a day off. Then you do okay. Then you days off. Then you crush. Is that what your working year looks like? Or have you locked in a pattern? You might hear my son. He's just waking up from a nap right now, it sounds like. Or have you locked in a pattern that no matter what, you hit your exact winning pattern every single day? How have you built your business right now? Now, when I go back to this text message, what was the one thing that helped you to get to $1 million in profit in your business? He said ambition. Ambition is not motivation. We need to be real clear with this, because some people confuse motivation with ambition. Meaning, we think getting fired up is the key to success. The truth is, ambition is having the ability to lock in a winning pattern and staying with it to maintain forward progress over a long period of time. Ambition is not sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop. That's not ambition. That's motivation. Ambition is right here. The ability to consistently move in forward segments and progress over time. It's consistency. And so the key with this is figuring out what is your minimum and what is your maximum of forward progress that must be made every single day in the upcoming year. Now, this requires math. One of my favorite quotes, accounting is the language of business, quoted by Warren Buffett. Guy's pretty good with numbers. If we looked at that and said, okay, what is the math you need to do to get yourself from where you are now to where you want to be then at the end of 2021, what's the math? What's the math that's going to get you across here? Now, Vlad, let me show something of why we do this. This is important. So I started off my business career in the nonprofit. These are people who have huge hearts. They care about everybody and everything. They want to help. The thing that they generally lack is this second circle over here of people who care a ton about money. And so I looked at these two things, and for me, for most of my early career, these were completely separate things. This was bankers who don't care. So these bankers don't care about anybody else except for themselves. And these were nonprofits who deeply care. And I was like, man, this one is good. This one is no good. Because the no good ones are creating all the problems in the world, was how I started. Now, what I also noticed is these good people were constantly running campaigns to go ask these people for more of this so that they could come back over here and do more good things. And I said, well, wait a second. Why do we have to constantly be yelling to these people, trying to get them to give us more of their money so we could do good stuff? I said, that doesn't make any sense. I have a friend of mine who came out of a major consulting firm. He goes, Jarek, that's not how it works. Let me show you something special. He said, this is really important. You're going to want to pay attention. He said, if you take this circle and we put the giant heart inside of it, because these are people who really care about a cause bigger than themselves, and we take, let me grab this and multiply it, copy, paste. We take this circle over here, and we take those people who make a ton of money, and we combine them. What happens is we create something called for purpose. What this means is we are a highly profitable company that chooses to reinvest profit into causes and situations that really matter. And so part of what we do as an organization is teach business owners how to become extremely profitable so that we can have piles of cash left over, like mountains, giant mountains of cash that we can take and invest into situations, causes, and people that really need it. And so greed is not a concern with us because we pick people who deeply believe and work for a cause much bigger than themselves. The more money we can help them make, the better, because they're choosing to reinvest that money heavily into things that matter over here. And so when we talk about greed, I agree. If the only thing someone's concerned about is this one over here, and they're not tapped, if this is their only concern, I don't like that. But if we can connect the dots and put these two together, I'm a huge, huge fan of that. And so part of what we do is help business owners scale their businesses. P.S. Little Snapshot, we have a group that already has 6 members in it. We're looking for 4 more members that are going to start with us in January. It's a 12-month group that every month we meet twice a month, and we assist in holding people accountable to stay on track with these consistent winning patterns. When we do this correctly, we get really phenomenal results. This year in our group, the person with the biggest results, they had 171% increase in profitability. They had a 195% increase in net profit, and they had a 50% increase in overall revenue during the pandemic, during all this chaos. And so we've been able to do a really good job regardless of the world situation. And we're looking for 4 more people who want to join us in that program. If you're interested, send us a direct message, say Rocket Ship 2021. We'll send you more information to check out and see if it's a fit. We do have a minimum requirement. You need to be making at least $20,000 a month in revenue to get into that group. In Q2, we'll have another group that's for people trying to get to the 20,000. But for now, if you're at that level, want to go beyond it, just send me a direct message that says Rocket Ship 2021. So we're talking about ambition. Ambition is winning patterns, not motivation. Motivation will fade over time. Winning patterns is the ambition piece that will actually get you to your goal. It's a much different scenario. So coming back here, I then asked him, how did you get from 1 million to 25 million in profit? Here's what he said: compounding. Compound interest is one of the most amazing things in the world. And so he said 25 was capitalizing on luck and compounding. So the right place at the right time. There was a research study done by Harvard University, and they went and tried to figure out what was the biggest cause of growth in companies. And what they discovered was there was 3 main causes of why businesses were growing. Number 1 was natural growth. Just people buying from them naturally, caught fire of a product or service, people loved it, it really went. Number 2 was the release of a new product. They launched a new product, they launched a new thing, and people went berserk over it, and the company grew like crazy. Number 3 was growth through acquisition. They bought some of their competitors or other people in their marketplace, which caused them to grow as an organization. So those are 3 ways you can grow your business according to Harvard's research of some of the fastest and best growing companies in the world. Now there's one more asterisk. What they discovered is, regardless if it was a product launch, regardless if it was natural, or regardless if it was acquisition, the number one most consistent factor of business growth was being in an industry that was growing. I'll say it one more time. The number one most important factor from Harvard Business School's research on business growth was a company that is in an industry that is growing. One of the things we help people do in our group is analyze their industry. Understand what stage of the evolutionary process their industry is in, what stage their business is in, and does it make sense to put all the effort in to try to get to where we want to get? Because if your industry is dying, you could put all the effort in the world in and land up with nothing because the industry completely dies by the time you hit your stride in business. So we need the right industry, the right time, and the right product and service. If we do this correctly, my goodness, you see a huge amount of growth. The other thing we aim for with our clients is reoccurring revenue. You notice to get to 25 million, he said compounding. That means reoccurring revenue. Imagine if every year you have to start over at 0. Let me show you what this looks like on a little graph. I'll duplicate this page one more time. Let me show you. So if we were to take one of our graphs here, and every single year, this is, we're going to switch this from motivation. We're going to clear that out, and we're going to go, we're going to call this financial wealth. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make in their business, is year one, they work, and let's say they sell in year one their $100,000 worth of stuff. Guess where they start? This is year 2, right here. This is 2, this is 1. Guess where most companies start on January 1st? And ask yourself if this is true for you. January 1st, right here in year 2, you're going to start back over at this amazing thing called 0. And then you're going to work all year to sell. Oh my God, you have 50% growth. Congratulations, you made $150,000 this year. Yay! Guess where you start in year 3? This magic place called 0. Can you see how that is not this? Can you see the comparison? This is a huge oops. Because no matter how big you get, let's say year 10, we're going to fast forward. This is year 10. You figured out how to go all the way to 12 million in sales. Oh my gosh, guess where you start? This was year 10. Guess where you start year 11? 0. This is a huge oops. Huge oops. Instead of this, we go through and we sit down with our clients and go, wait a second. If we're going to have some winning patterns of behavior that we're really consistent with, can we set up a business so that from year 1 to year 2, here's year 2, from these 2 years, if we spend all year building your income from 0 all the way up to 100,000, that's kind of what it looks like. It goes like this. We get you to 100,000 in revenue. Can we at least start year 2 with 50,000 in reoccurring revenue? Meaning you're going to start the year with 50,000 of revenue, and we're going to rebuild to see if we can get that up to 150,000 this year. And then if we get to year 3, can we build a system? Oops, let me move that over. Can we build a system so that in year 3, we start at 100,000 in revenue, and our goal is to build it up to 200,000 in revenue? And in year 4, you see where this is going. Can we build a foundation of reoccurring revenue that prevents you from having to start at 0 every single year? Can we put something together that you might start here, but now you get to start here, and then you get to start up here, and then this next year you're starting up here? We've built a process that helps business owners figure this out. If you're making at least $20,000 a month right now, send me a direct message. Say Rocket Ship 2021, and I'll show you our little formula here and see if we can build something that 10 years from now, you're going to get to start, instead of starting over at 0 in year 10 and 11, by the time we get to 10 years, and it will change depending on your business, but let's fast forward this graph to 10 years. If in 10 years from now, to start the year, instead of starting at 0, we can build something that starts off, I don't know, let's say at $500,000 a year in revenue, and you build from there. Doesn't that make a whole lot more sense than 10 years from now building something that you have to start the year at 0? If we go back to what helped this client get to 25 million, it was this concept called compounding. They built something that allowed them over time to compound on top of what they've already built. That means they were using this method, not this method. They were not starting over at 0 every year trying to climb Mount Everest. Instead, they were figuring out how to make each year start significantly higher than the year before. And eventually that type of system built into something that gave this person over $25 million in profit. And they've made significantly more than that, but that's just the number I put for use here. I hope this is helpful. Coming all the way back, what are the winning patterns you're going to choose to lock in? What's the minimum and maximum you're going to choose to do every single day for the year of 2021 to keep you on track to crush the results and outcomes you're going to set with your New Year's resolutions? What are you going to do to get yourself across this journey right here? And if we can help you, we'd love to. The goal is not to count on motivation to get you there, so that some days you're motivated, some days you're not. The goal is to set up those winning patterns right here. The goal is not to inconsistently do sprints and drops. The goal is to consistently lock in consistent daily winning patterns that will absolutely get you to where you want to be. If you need help with this, send me a direct message. All it needs to say is Rocket Ship 2021, and we will go ahead and chat. Vladimir, thank you for sending that. We'll reach out to you. Okay, I hope this is helpful. I hope you use this. If you're watching this on a website page, there should be a form right below this. If you have a business that's making at least $20,000 a month of revenue and you want to grow it, fill out that form. If your business is below that, also fill out the form. We have a smaller group for people wanting to get to $20,000 a month that we're going to start as soon as we get 10 people on the list. We have 2 so far. As soon as we get 10, we'll start that group and show you how to get to at least $20,000 a month of reoccurring revenue. For those of you who are already at $20,000 or more, we'll show you how to go with these winning patterns and real growth. I hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoy it. I'll talk to you all soon.